Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Hobart on this Mother's Day Sunday, where we strive to put love at the center of how we show up in the world. I am Jesse Wilson, and this is Maggie Reister. We are your worship associates this morning. Welcome to you, old friends and new, young and old. You are an essential part of our celebration today. Whether today is your first Sunday or 1,000th Sunday with us in our midst, we are stronger because you are with us. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved, just as you are. You are welcome here. Today, our worship service will be led by our minister, Reverend Cathy Harrington. Since not everyone can attend in person, we are streaming this worship service online. We extend a special welcome to all those who are joining us virtually. Another way that we walk together is by joining together in fun and fellowship. In the interest of time, if you have announcements, please send them in an email to Ashley in the office by Wednesday. Look for our weekly Spark for more announcements. And if you don't receive the Spark and you would like to, you can fill out a visitor form in the hall.
I'm sure most of you recognize this is our pledge form. We have many of them returned. Thank you. But if you haven't yet completed both sides of your pledge form, or if you have any questions, talk to the stewardship team, Carl Wolf, myself. Right on cue. Nice sentence, yes. On Friday, May 29th at 6 p.m., First Unitarian's Faith in Action Ministry presents a special screening of the Academy Award-winning documentary short, All the Empty Rooms, followed by a discussion featuring members of Moms Demand Action, Northwest Indiana. In this 35-minute Netflix film, a journalist and a photographer set out to memorialize all the empty bedrooms left behind by children who never returned home from school shootings. Doors open at 6 p.m. for snacks. Movie begins at 6:30. And, did you want to do that? Okay.
We are returning this year for the Cups Campout at the Dunes Park. If you're interested, these are out there, so you can fill it out. You just go online and fill out everything. It is primitive camping, and it is at the dunes.
And where? What time? What day?
It is July 17th to the 19th, 2026. And it was a lot of fun when they were doing this prior to COVID.
Which dunes, the state park or the national park?
It says Nakasaki 3, so that is the primitive. When you come in the gate, you're going to make a right, another right. But I don't know if that's, I don't know.
At the end of 49.
Yeah, but if that's state or federal, I don't know where those lines are.
Most people, unfortunately, in this area don't.
Yeah,
Okay, well, we'll get back to you.
yep. And now please take a moment to greet your neighbors. Really greet your neighbors. Say hello to somebody you don't know. Hi, neighbors. Please turn off or silence your devices. Please turn off or silence your devices, and as you do so, allow yourself to enter sacred time. Take a deep breath. And another. Join us in the spirit of reverence.
Good morning. It's good to be together again. Each Sunday morning, We join together in the reciting of our words of affirmation, which are printed on your order of service and also on the screen. So please join me in our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament. Service is its prayer. And this is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Thought the flowers would never grow. I dug and dug amongst the sand, and still no green thing came to stand. Melt, oh snow, the warm winds blow to thaw the flowers and melt the snow, but oh, the winds from every land will rear their blossoms from the sand.
The flaming chalice is a symbol of Unitarian Universalism. It suggests the transformation that takes place when we are held within religious community. When we light the chalice in worship, we illuminate a world that we feel called upon to serve with love and a sense of justice. Please join us in lighting our chalice by reading together the words on the screen or in your order of service. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, kind of heart for truth and meaning, celebration of the world we share together. Please rise as you are able and join me in singing our doxology.
Our invocation this morning, these words are by the Reverend Gretchen Haley. Gather in the arms of our mother, earth, sky, breaths, stars. Like many relationships with moms, it's okay if it feels complicated. We can make space here for grief and gratitude, for guidance, and for letting go. We can let ourselves be held and hold one another. For all the caretaking we are called to and the courage, we can rest here for a time of song and story, memory and imagination, a time to recall the proclamation of peace. And at the start of the first Mother's Day, the vision of a world where all children are safe, are held, and are free. Praise all keepers of this vision, partners in all in the birth of a new day, a promise to labor with joy for all the beauty that is still beginning. Come, let us worship together. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing hymn number 212. We are dancing Sarah's Circle. So on this Mother's Day, I have a very special Mother's Day story. It's called Mother Bruce by Ryan T. Higgins. Bruce was a bear who lived all by himself, and he was a grump. He did not like sunny days, he did not like rain, and he did not like cute little animals. I know, it's terrible. And Bruce liked only one thing, eggs. He collected them from all over the forest. Good morning, Mrs. Sparrow. Bruce didn't eat eggs raw like other bears. Instead, he cooked them into fancy recipes that he found on the internet. And so one day, Bruce came across a recipe for hard-boiled goose eggs drizzled with honey salmon sauce. And so he went out to shop for ingredients. And first, he caught a few salmon, and then he collected honey from a local beehive. He liked to support local businesses, you see. And last of all, he went to visit Mrs. Goose's nest and asked her if they were free-range organic. At home, he prepared the eggs for hard boiling, but the fire in the stove fizzled, so he had to go out and get more wood. And when Bruce came back, he was met with an unwelcome surprise. Mama! Oops. Let's do this a page. Yes, okay. On the stove is a pot full of little teeny goslings that hatched while Bruce was outside. 4 of them, calling him Mama. Okay. So Bruce wanted hard-boiled eggs, not goslings. Okay. Okay, there's my... There we go. Okay. He supposed he could settle for some buttered goslings on toast, however. But for some reason, he lost his appetite. Bruce scooped up the little geese and stomped back to their nest. I will have to ask Mrs. Goose about her return policy. But he found that Mrs. Goose had flown south early. And so Bruce left the goslings there anyway, and he went home. Mama, Mama. But Bruce was followed. And Bruce was very stern, and he said things like, go away. And I am not your mother, and I liked you better when you were eggs. He could take it no longer and became extra grumpy with them, and he roared as loud as he could roar. and it didn't work. And so goslings always follow their mother, even if she is a he and he is a bear. And so there they went. And Bruce, alas, was stuck with them. And so he tried to make the best of it. And it was hard work. And of course, they were, like most children, picky eaters. As the seasons passed, Bruce watched the pesky goslings grow older. They were from annoying baby geese to stubborn teenage geese to boring adult geese. So then one afternoon he saw other goose families flying south, and he figured he could be rid of these geese, and then he could take a long winter nap. He explained migration. But they didn't listen. Bruce needed the geese to leave, so he got creative. But nothing worked. The geese would simply not leave Bruce. And so he decided to pack some bags and take his geese into town. They boarded a bus. I love their backpacks. And he migrated to Miami. And now every winter, Bruce and his geese head south together. And they laze about on the beach in tacky shirts, sipping ice cold lemonade while Bruce dreams of new recipes that don't hatch. And that's the end. All right, thank you. That's it.
Great story. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Stephanie. I am here to tell you why I give, why I pledge. So today is Mother's Day. And before I begin my origin story of First Unitarian, I will tell you that before I came here, I had been to 2 Unitarian services in my life. One was a Christmas time service in Dallas, Texas, where my aunt and uncle attended. It was 1985. We heard my uncle sing in a massive choir. It was a really big church. And then we drove around to look at Christmas lights and went to the movies to see White Nights with Gregory Hines and Mikhail Brishnikov. Wow. The second Unitarian service I attended was in 1998. It was my wedding to Carl. The Unitarian minister was the answer to the question, who will marry a Greek Orthodox and an atheist Jew in a garden on a farm? So we hired Lauren Prosser, who was a UU minister from Indianapolis. We chose a reading from the back of the Gray Hymnal, and were married on a beautiful farm outside of Muncie, Indiana. Fast forward some years, we were invited here to this church by a friend, and the first service that I remember, at least, was a Mother's Day service. Roger Bruin was in the pulpit, and I learned about Unitarian Julia Ward Howe's abolitionist, human rights, and peace work put into motion during the Civil War, resulting eventually in the Mother's Day Proclamation, a precursor to our now partially commercialized holiday. This was definitely intriguing to me. This is a church where you hear history lessons from the pulpit. I was like, wow, this is different from where I come from. So we started attending services regularly. We signed the book eventually. The kids attended RE downstairs. And my mom was just tickled pink that we were attending church, any church, together, the 4 of us as a family, as opposed to her version of taking us to church every week by herself. So we have stayed all these years, edging closer to 2 decades now, because of the values and beliefs that we have in common with the people here, many who have become true friends. Our politics, activism, concerns, social interests, welcoming factors, and empathy for others is all lived out here. We see it in others around us, we join together with you, we invite others in, and do our best in this upside-down world that is easier to navigate, having this home here where we are comfortable and know we are appreciated. I am privileged to have served this church in different capacities, currently on the board as vice president, and ever grateful to be on the Sanctuary Renovation Committee. I take these roles very seriously, more seriously than I even thought I would when I said yes that I would do it. I love this place, the people and the energy and the history and its future. And this is why I give. Thank you.
Each week, we share a portion of our Sunday offerings with a social justice cause outside this church walls. This month, we are sharing our loose change collection with Moms Demand Actions, Northwest Indiana. Donations in the baskets will go to sustaining the missions of our congregation, and donation in the cups will go to the Moms Demand Action. For those of you not in, oh, speak up, sorry. For those of you not with us today, there is an online link for a one-time and regular donation. Interesting. And your service and your gifts, we are truthfully grateful.
And now, in the center of our service and in the center of our lives, let us pause to honor the silences of the world. Let's open our hearts to the place of quiet, to the silent prayer for the healing of pain and the soft, gentle coming of love. I will share with you a meditation for mothers written by my colleague, Lisa Bovey-Kemper. In religious community, we share joys and triumphs, our sorrows and our broken places. In the circle of care, we make space for the complexity of life, the myriad experiences that bless and break our hearts. The truth of human experience dictates that on any given day, we come to the table with hearts in different places. It is especially so on this day, invented to honor women who nurture. In this circle of care, we honor the truth that mothering is not and never will be quantified in one single descriptor. Mothering can be elusive or infuriating, fulfilling or confusing, commonplace or triumphant. It exists in the everyday experience of each person. There is no human being that is not connected to or disconnected from a mother. And so we honor the complexities of the experience writ large in flowered platitudes, but here in this space laid bare, honoring the truth in each of our hearts. There is room for all in this circle. If you have carried a child or children, whether or not they came to be born, we see you. If you have fervently wished to do so, and circumstances of fate made it impossible, we see you. If you love children we cannot see, whether because of death or estrangement, we see you. If you never, ever wanted to be a mother, we see you. If you are happy to mother other people's children as an educator, an auntie, or a foster parent, we see you. If your mother hurt you physically, emotionally, we see you. If you had no mother at all, we see you. If your mother was or is your best friend, we see you. If your gender says you are not a mother and yet you take on the role of nurturer, we see you. If you wonder whether your mothering has been enough, and don't we all, we see you. And if yours is a different truth altogether, we honor your unspoken story. There is room for all in this circle, and may it be so today and always. Amen. And let us pause for just a moment of silence. I invite you now to come forward and light a candle of memory or hope, or just sit quietly as the music continues to hold us in a meditative space. of you at home. And now let us fill this sacred space with the names of the loved ones we hold close on our hearts this morning, some suffering in sorrow, some celebrating in joy. May they feel our embrace. The breath of nature is upon us. The spirit of life is within us, and the community of love is around us. So be it, and blessed be.
Joys and sorrows are a time to share personal joys that you are celebrating so that we can celebrate with you as a community. Jerry sent out a message to the Buddhists this week about the importance how great a gift that is to the universe. So thank you, Jerry. It's also a time to share personal sorrows that weigh on our hearts so that we can support each other in our times of sorrow or grief. This part of the service will not be shared with our online members, friends, and visitors. Please speak your name and tell us of a significant joy or sorrow. lighten our sorrows and for all the joys and sorrows that were too tender to be spoken. We thank you.
Please remain seated, but join me in singing hymn number 1038 in the Teal hymnal, the 23rd Psalm dedicated to my mother.
The Lord is my shepherd,
I have all I need.
She makes me lie down in green meadows, beside the still waters she will lead. She restores my soul, she rights my wrongs. She leads me in the path of good things. She fills my heart with songs. Even though I walk through a dark and dreary land, there is nothing that can shake me. She has said she won't forsake me. I'm in her hand. She sets a table before me in the presence of my foes. She anoints my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely, surely goodness and kindness will follow me all the days of my life, and I will live in her house forever, forever and ever. Glory be to our mother and daughter, and to the Holy of Holies, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
Because no one could ever praise me enough. Because I don't mean these poems only, but the unseen, unbelievable effort it takes to live the life that goes on between them. I think all the time about invisible work. About the young mother on welfare I interviewed years ago who said, it's hard. You bring him to the park, run rings around yourself, keeping him safe, cut hot dogs into bite-sized pieces for dinner, and there's no one to say, what a good job you're doing, how you were patient and loving for the 1,000th time, even though you had a headache. And I, who am used to feeling sorry for myself because I am lonely, when all the while, as the Chippewa poem says, I am being carried by the great winds across the sky. Thought of the invisible work that stitches up the world day and night, the slow, unglamorous work of healing, the way worms in the garden tunnel ceaselessly so the earth can breathe. And bees ransack this world into being, while owls and poets stalk shadows. Our loneliest labors under the moon. There are mothers for everything. And the sea is a mother too, whispering and whispering to us long after we have stopped listening. I stopped and let myself lean a moment against the blue shoulder of the air. The work of my heart is the work of the world's art. There is no other art.
Those of you who may have grown up in the 50s and 60s or have seen some of the television shows might remember the Donna Reed Show, Ozzie and Harriet, Leave It to Beaver, The Partridge Family, Make Room for Daddy, Father Knows Best, The Brady Bunch. Among these women, they had 22 children, 6 husbands, and 3 maids. For 2 decades during the 50s and 60s, they were role models for every mother in the country. They looked better cleaning their houses than most of us did at our weddings. They never lost their temper, gained weight, spent more money than their husbands made, or gave viewers any reason to believe that they were living out their lives in celibacy. Not to believe they were living their lives in celibacy. They never scrubbed a toilet, were never invaded by roaches, and never shouted. No one ever wondered what they did between the time their families went to work in the morning and school and then came home in the evening. And every week you viewed a miracle. 7 out of 7 women who got their figures back after having children. That was the role model I was raised with. I've been a mother my whole adult life. Sometimes it was pretty tough. Sometimes the only thing that kept me going was faithfulness. A teenage mom, the fading hopes and dreams for my own life, my sister wrote in a poem, evolved into a kind of anger that guarded my brood like a samurai warrior. I was unaware of myself for years, and it was the only thing that had kept me alive. And that's why Bruce, the unlikely mother in this story this morning, seemed perfect as a story. I could relate to Bruce. But poor Bruce really needed a sense of humor, didn't he? Like Irma Bombeck, who wrote her book, Motherhood, the Second Oldest Profession. I was barely an adult, just 12 days after my 18th birthday when they put this little redheaded baby boy in my arms. A mere child, a terrified child. I remember lying awake all night the first time we were home from the hospital, watching him breathe, terrified he would stop. I was in complete awe and wonder, and I did not know until that moment that it was possible to love anyone or anything that much. With that awareness came a tremendous fear, but a powerful instinct that began to grow. I knew nothing about mothering, except my mother was pretty darn near perfect. I'd done some babysitting, so I read some books, and back then they gave you Dr. Spock. Yeah, it quickly became my Bible. He said we could spoil babies if you hold them too much. Yeah, we've proved him wrong, but at the time, he was the expert. I loved rocking my son to sleep. But I was trying to be a good mother, so one night I tried to put him in his crib and let him cry himself to sleep. It was awful. He was crying, I was crying, and I sat in the living room sobbing, and just then, my little cat, Catfish, strolled through the living room. She was a teenage mother, too. It was like a light bulb went off in my head, and suddenly I realized Catfish had the innate ability to know how to care for her babies. And if she didn't have to agonize over it, neither did I. She was a wonderful mother. If nature had given her what she needed, then nature had given me what I needed. So I went into the bedroom and got my baby and put him in my arms and rocked him to sleep every night until his feet drug the floor. He was so old. So I raised three pretty terrific kids. They turned out pretty good. But there were times when I really prayed for a band of gypsies to come knock on my door and take them off my hands. I needed a vacation. I remember once wishing I could just go to the hospital just for one night, just to get a break. One woman wrote, "Moms do a lot of things, but they're not always hallmark moments." I was far from perfect. My mother was pretty close to perfect. As I said, she pushed my buttons sometimes, but I realized that's because she installed them. She knew exactly where they were. But I never remember my mother ever raising her voice. She did raise her eyebrow, however. It's like when she knew she was, it was an amazing talent. So Irma Bombeck's humor helped normalize some of my imperfections, truthfully, my tendency to feel overwhelmed and feel like I was the worst mother in the world. She wrote, "Being at home alone in the summer is a high-risk occupation. Being a child home alone is a high-risk occupation." I was a single mom cutting hair with a telephone right by my station. And she said, "If you call your mother at work more than 13 times an hour, she can hurt you." So humor helped. But in one of Irma's books, I read a letter from a woman who was in prison because she really did hurt her child. And she's read one of Irma's books in the prison library. And she wrote to Irma and she said, "I didn't know I could laugh at these things. If I had known I could laugh, that I wasn't alone, that maybe things would have turned out differently." Instead of condemning her, my heart embraced her. Poetry often points to understanding in ways nothing else can. Being Mother's Day is complicated for so many, and Mary Oliver wrote this about her mother. "My mother was the blue wisteria. My mother was the mossy stream out behind the house. My mother, alas, alas, did not always love her life. Heavier than iron it was as she carried it in her arms from room to room. Oh, unforgettable." Too many mothers are mothering against the odds, living in poverty. Barbara Kingsolver once said, "Sometimes the strength of motherhood is even greater than natural law. But that isn't enough. Too many are helpless in the face of poverty and all that's going on in our world today." But I do believe that mothering isn't confined to the female. My middle child, Andy, married his high school sweetheart, his college sweetheart too, and they had a child together, and she decided she didn't want to be a mother anymore and didn't want to be a wife anymore, and when Abby was 3 years old, she left. She left Andy to be a mother and a father to Abby. And I watched him. I watched him find those mothering qualities. It was exquisite to see. It has been said that if one has known caress in childhood, there is always a fiber of memory that can be touched to gentle issues. I had a friend once, I used to cut her hair years and years ago, who decided to make a difference. She had grown children and they were well launched and she was pretty well off. So she decided she would try to help crack cocaine babies. When they came to her from the hospital, her job was just to love them. Sometimes they were newborns, screaming in pain from withdrawal, crying all night, wired and jittery. This incredible woman did what she could. Sometimes she'd stay up all night, gently patting their lives back into place. 1 minute at a time, 1 hour at a time. She would bring them into the salon and pass them around so that they would get used to other people. It was a miracle of love. They transformed from babies frightened and hurting to peaceful, contented babies. It was the miracle of love. And she told me she knew, she could tell when she had done her job. And that was when they got that smug, I am loved look on their faces. It has been said that it only takes one committed adult in a child's life to make a difference. Just one. Charlotte Gray said, becoming a mother makes you the mother of all children. From now on, each wounded, abandoned child, frightened child is yours, and you live in the suffering. Mothers of every race and creed, and weep with them, and you long to comfort. And so we come to Julia Ward Howe's Mother's Day proclamation. She calls us to transform. In 1870, she planted the idea for Mother's Day. She pleaded, arise then, women of this day, arise, all women who have hearts, whether our baptism be of fire or of tears, and say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands will not come to us, reeking with carnage for caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We, the women of one country, we will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to train to injure their sons. And from the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm. The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence indicate possession. As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of counsel. Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the deed, and then solemnly take counsel with each other as the means to whereby the great human family can live at peace. And each bearing after their own time the sacred impress, not of Caesar, but of God. If you read Heather Cox Richardson, she wrote a beautiful piece about our wonderful Julia Ward Howe. PBS is streaming live the play called Suffs. It's about the suffragists, the women's fight to earn the right to vote, 72 years of organized active campaigning, beginning with Seneca Falls. And it took years before 1965 for the Voting Rights Act for actually all black women to be able to vote. And we know what kind of tomfoolery is going on right now in our country. How long before women and people of color will no longer be allowed to vote and to have rights to own property or even own our children? This is the way it was when Julia Ward Howe wrote the proclamation. Arise. It is time to arise and reach into that part of that which knows the great mother that resides within us. That transforming love is within us and is around us. That great mother is perennial, coming up through us like the flowers through the soil. And yet the delicate blooms of this life force called love, which seems so powerful, is also fragile and vulnerable. Taoism teaches that life is the strongest force in the world, but is also the most fragile and vulnerable. But what seems to be the strongest? War, the ability to kill, the powerful, to turn people into sweatshop workers or even minimum wage workers, is the weakest because it weakens our humanity. It is a very fragile goodness, and its fragility is part of its special beauty. It needs our protection and our care. The good news is that it is within each of us, that great mother that can be awakened. It resides within us, waiting to return again, waiting with the same kind of faithfulness we can nurture and finally give birth to our hope for a better world. Mothering can be defined as an authentic response to all of life with an openness to the transformative power of love. What mother ever gives up completely on their child? We must not give up. We are called to hold hope alive. This magnificent, beautiful thing called life, the strongest force in the world, is the most fragile. It needs our help. I want to share these words to close with these words by Eleanor Cleghorn, who wrote A Woman's Work, Reclaiming the Radical History of Mothering. I found it hopeful. She writes, "There is no end to the history of mothering. The patriarchy might try to repeat its history, but mothers always have and always will rewrite it. Across our mothering history, the resilient, collaborative, tender, and powerful history of caring for children, ourselves, our communities, and our societies, we have weathered such storms before. Mothers have ensured their stories and experiences will not be erased. Since antiquity, midwives and maternity caregivers have fought for birthing people and mothers to be believed, trusted, supported, and respected." So thanks to Mary Wollstonecraft, Frances Allen Watkins Harper, Sojourner Truth, Johnny Tillman, and so many others, motherhood has been at the very heart of political and social change. Every person who has ever mothered or who has ever been mothered understands that the work of mothering is the work of living. There is no end to the history of mothering. Every person who mothers carries this history with them as they forge through the uncertainty, holding hope in the hands that hold us all together. Mothers make history. As mothers continue this history, their mothering will make the world. Our mothering, all of us, will make the world. Amen. So be it. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing hymn number 1051. Is that the correct number? In our teal hymnal, We Are.
Each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreaming. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. The daughters of dust, the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth, movers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreaming. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love, lovers of life and builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and givers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandfather's bread. We are our grandfather's dreaming. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings through the universe who we are. Each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings through the universe who we are. Each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings through the universe who we are. Each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings through the universe who we are.
I invite you now to join me in reciting the words in the order of service or on the screen. Accompany our extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. Be here with us.
Benediction is from the Metta Sutta, boundless goodwill. Let us cultivate boundless goodwill. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none in anger or ill will wish another harm. Even as a mother watches over her child, so with boundless mind should one cherish all living beings, radiating friendliness over all the whole world, above, below, and all around without limit. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be.
Way back when, in the beginning of time, man made the fire, then the wheel, went from a horse to an automobile. He said the world is mine. He took the oceans and the sky, set the borders, built the walls. He won't stop till he owns it all. But here we are, standing on the brink of disaster. Enough is enough is enough. I know the answer. Put a woman in charge.
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 Put the women in charge.
Put a woman in charge.
Time has come. We got to turn this world around. Call the mothers, call the daughters. We need the sisters of mercy now. Hero, not a fool. She's got the power to change the rules. She's got something that men don't have. She's kind and she understands. So let the ladies do what they were born to do. Raise the vibrations, make a better place for me and you. Put a woman in charge.
Put a woman in charge.
Put the women in charge.
Put a woman in charge.
Put a woman in charge.
Put a woman in charge.
The women in charge.
In charge.
Hallelujah. Gonna feel magic. The girls take over. Gonna be fantastic. Put a woman in charge. The women in charge. Put a woman in charge. The women in charge. One more time. Put a woman in charge. Put the women in charge. Put a woman in charge. With the women in charge.
Please join us in the parish hall for coffee and conversation. Happy Mother's Day, everyone.